This meeting is now being recorded.
Hello, this is Michael Prestwich. I'm president and founder of ImagiSOFT. The title of this, it goes after Joe Gandolfo's famous book, Ideas Are a Dime a Dozen, but the man who puts them into practice is priceless. Back in 1985, I was selling life insurance. Actually, it was 1975. This is the 25th printing reprint, which, as you can see, is on Amazon for $90. I think I paid $5 for my copy back in 1975. But in 1975, when I was a junior agent, we were trying to make the $1 million round table, and we just could not believe this guy named Joe Gandolfo, who sold $1 billion of life insurance in 1 year. I bought this book. He came out later with a different book, How to Make Big Money Selling. I saw him in some seminars and met him other places. He just became kind of one of my heroes. The purpose of this meeting today is to share some ideas with you that can be a priceless asset to you and boost your production and, more importantly, help your clients. And it's called the IRA Booster. I've done a spreadsheet here, a person, just a hypothetical John and Mary scrape by. This is kind of a typical person. They've struggled all their lives. They've scraped money. They've put money into a 401k. They just started their Social Security. And after sitting down with them, hypothetically, I found out a lot about them. They are very, very frugal. They don't spend a lot of money. They've paid their house off. They've accumulated $300,000 in an IRA. Now, you'll notice that I put $12,000 as income from the IRA. I haven't put it anywhere in income-producing assets. So that $300,000 produces $12,000 a year. Well, how did I come up with that number? People have asked us about our software, and one of the things that they ask us is, do we have any retirement planning software? Well, yes, we do. It's called the Stretch IRA. It does more than just stretch an income for someone who wants to take the minimum amount. You can also use it to project income. So let me show you how I used it as a projection income. You can see where I pressed the login. I've licensed to use the Stretch IRA software on our web software, and you can see I put in John Scrapeby's information here. The Stretch IRA calculator stores the last client that you put in. So I've got him, as you can see, he's 66 years old, assumed age of death is age 87. Then we have his spouse as the spouse beneficiary. There's Mary. She's 4 years younger, and she's got some longevity in her, her dad, for example, lived till he was 95. So there's a very high probability that she will live till 97. And I put in 2% return. Now, why did I put in 2% return? Well, they're very, very conservative people. Let me show you this. They've got their 401k, and they've got it invested just as conservatively as they possibly can in something very, very similar to this Fidelity short-term bond fund. That's like the safest place that someone could put their money in a 401k plan. And if you look at the hypothetical growth based on a couple of things, you'll notice that there's still some chance that the money can go down. And you can see what they've done year to date in this fund. You can see the 10-year average of 1.86%. It's really not going to be a growth vehicle. What is the risk category? Very, very conservative, very, very small risk. The only thing safer than this would be to put it in T-bills or treasuries. And the treasuries right now are less than 1%. So it'd be totally safe with absolutely no growth. So this is where they put their money in their 401k. So going back to the Stretch IRA software, that's why I used 2%. So here's 2% here, 2% for each of the ultimate beneficiaries. There's 4. There's 2 children and 2 grandchildren. Then I selected the account type, it doesn't matter what I use here, product type, it's probably an investment, $300,000, move that in, and here's the 2% return. And then what I did is I selected the withdrawal, and I just kept trying different things. I tried $15,000, it ran out of money early. I tried $10,000, there was some surplus. So I just kind of went back and forth, ran it 4 or 5 times, and I came up with $12,000. Here's the result for $12,000. You can press the preview key, and then you do view, and our software comes up as a PDF. And those of you who have seen our software before are familiar with these pages. And so here's the overview, and as you can see, $300,000 provides total income of $424,000. It just barely gets by. Here's the elective withdrawals. He's 66. He starts at $12,000 a year because there is no required minimum distribution. And then, as you can see, starting at age 70, he's got to take out 10. But we're also going to take out another $1,954 to make it $12,000. So these 2 columns always add up to $12,000. He passes away, and then Mary takes over. And as you can see, the money lasts until she's 95, of which there's $11,000 left, and she can deplete that asset there at age 96. And so you can see why I call it the straight buy. There's very, very little room for error in her situation. Let's look at that sheet again. Okay, here's the retirement planning worksheet again. So that's where the $12,000 comes in. If you look at the other budget items, they have a surplus of $3,000 a year. That's including some vacation time, some charitable deductions. But what happens over time is inflation. That's a huge concern. Very little cushion here. Medical inflation is much, much higher than the 3%. And so what will happen is this vacation time will go down. Other expenses will have to go out. They may have to get help from their kids. The fuel and the insurance, they may end up giving up one or more of their cars. But they'll make it. They've always made it. Then John will pass away roughly 21 years from now, 22 years from now, 20 years from now. And then what happens to Mary? She gets John's Social Security, but she loses hers. She still gets the $12,000 in the IRA, just as we showed. She's got a little bit of surplus, hypothetically, but that's based on 0% inflation. In 24 years, the rule of 72, though most of you should know what that is, at 3% inflation, prices have doubled. So her expenses, hypothetically, $24,000 a year, probably not realistic. I mean, there's a huge problem awaiting here because of inflation. And we've explained these other things here. She probably have to sell or use her house to provide any long-term care that comes in. Now, here's another problem. Let me ask you a question, John. There's $42,000 a year for you in New Mexico to be in a nursing home. What's even a single year of long-term care going to do to this plan? If I can help you overcome this drastic situation, you're just barely scraping by, you have very little surplus. What if I can give you a cushion to help against this huge problem right here and actually help against this problem of Mary running out of money with inflation? Would you like to talk about that? Well, the solution to that is that we need to do something about this 2% return. Now, those of you who sell indexed annuities may have seen illustration software that insurance companies have. If you have not, investigate it. But any software that is NAIC, now that's the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, if their software is NAIC compliant for illustration software, it will have this page here. And so it'll show the last 20 years, and it'll say, okay, what's the best rate of return this strategy would have done in the last 10 years? As you can see, 4.93%. What is the worst it's done? 4.02%. And what's the last 10 years? Look for a strategy that has this 4% return potential. You'll usually find that to be a participation rate type product. You'll usually find it has zero bonus. If you don't realize it, a bonus, if you're going to pay 10% up front, that 10% is basically going to deplete the interest rate in the future. So a bonus product very, very rarely will have this high of a return. It can also have a spread, something like 6% spread. So you get the full S&P 500 change, you get this 11% minus 6%, something like that, and get a rate. So, look for those things. But this is the page to look for on the illustration software, and look for something that's where you believe that there has the great potential, if not the likelihood, of a 4% return. Okay, I'm going to go back and do something here at 4% return. Now, what we did with the 4% return is everything is basically the same except for two items. First of all, instead of doing $12,000 a year from the IRA, the same $300,000 is doing we're doing $21,000. There's another area, and that's $9,000 going out into life insurance. If you take the $21,000, subtract the $9,000, essentially everything is the same. They're still scraping by on $12,000 a year, with the exception that they now have a $300,000 life insurance policy on John that has provisions for long-term care. So, as you can see, the concerns, there's still a little cushion. There's still inflation. Those concerns are still there. But if they were going to live before, they can live now. But the $300,000 is there for long-term care, that $42,000. If it came in, it would come right out of the life insurance policy, $42,000. It wouldn't come out of their assets. It wouldn't affect this cash flow situation one bit. And it could happen for 5 years at $42,000 would still be $200,000. With the boosting of the IRA with life insurance. So as you can see, we're using the 4% returns everywhere. And now look at the total income that comes out. Remember, it was 400 and something thousand before. It looked before kind of like a lifetime income rider with a life insurance company. A lot of you will go back and do a lifetime income rider. And I did this, and I found the best one I could come up with, and I came up with $14,000 for lifetime income per year. It's still scraping by. Even if it has a doubler position there for long-term care, it's still $28,000 a year total instead of the $42,000 extra that you need for long-term care. So look at how that comes out. $1.1 million from the exact same $300,000. Is we're doing the $21,000. Again, $9,000 of that is going into the life insurance policy, And then we're adding the death benefit here at age 86. So let me demonstrate how that happens in our software. Okay, I'll go back into the Stretch IRA. Here's the same John straight buy. Again, assumed age of death, age 87. And I'm going to change this to 4% return. Everywhere there's a 2%. So I've got to change it 5 places on this, 1 for each beneficiary, and 1 for his wife. Then I'm going to change the hypothetical rate of return here to 4%. Then I'm going to do the annual withdrawal to $21,000. Now again, I had to play around with the software and come up with different scenarios and so forth for this to happen. Now I'm also going to add $300,000, which is the death benefit of the policy that's going to come into this plan starting at age 86. So at end of age 86, when he dies at age 87, we're throwing this money in, that $300,000. Now, those of you who know tax law know that you can't really add $300,000 to an IRA. I mean, this IRA is producing income. He's after age 70. You're not really going to add after-tax dollars into an IRA. But for illustration purposes, to show where this $300,000 is going, it's obviously going to go into its own separate 4% account. But it shows an illustration of what the effect of that $300,000 is to the family. And as you can see, there's over $1.1 million. That's $700,000 more that the family gets from $300,000 of life insurance. It's an amazing booster to the IRA. Now, I know a lot of us have looked at the lifetime income riders, and the one that I looked at that produced $14,000 had a 1% fee. Let me ask you a question. If you sold that product, and it's a good product, it's good for the customers in many, many cases, but how much commission did you make on that $3,000 lifetime income rider fee? I don't think it's commissionable. What if you bought a separate life insurance policy for that $3,000? What could happen? That would, in this guy's case, buy approximately a $100,000 policy. What could that $100,000 do if the person needed long-term care? It can pay out 4% of that. It can pay out $4,000 a month and pretty much cover your New Mexico costs for a couple of years. Would it be better than having a doubler? I don't know. Think about it. It's just throwing this idea out there, having you think about it. In this case, it happened dramatically. Here's the $21,000. Here's the $300,000 going in. For Mary, she now starts ahead of where the account started in the first place. And when she passes away at age 96, she could live to over 110 with this and still have a tremendous cash flow coming out. And there's money left for the kids. The other way, before, there was only $10,000 left for the kids. As you can see, there's $162,000 left for the kids, which is split and actually provides a legacy. So in this case, the Stretch IRA software shows a legacy if there's money left over for the kids. But if there's not money left over for the kids, it actually kind of flip-flops. The kids have to pitch in and help the parents. The parents have to sell their home. There's, all their antiques or art or whatever, all their assets need to be absorbed to go into those medical costs. The life insurance policy, in this case, becomes a godsend. It becomes a beautiful thing. So there's the last page. Now this is a spreadsheet that I put together. For those of you who have purchased our Stretch IRA software, if you want this spreadsheet, just contact Mike McGovern and he will email that to you. And again, that's for people who have purchased our software. And if you've got any questions on how to use the software, then certainly, you should call us or watch the videos. And those of you who don't have our software, you can go to ImagiSOFT.com, click the order button right here, and here it is. Just press the buy now. It's $400 per year. If you can click this up here, and as you can see, we have 4 videos that are here for testing or for training purposes. So if you have questions, you know our phone number. Please give us a call. As you can see on our website, our number is 877-510-4702, or you can also click this link, tech.support@ImagiSOFT.com. Put your questions there. We also have our little chat right here. So you have a question, just click this and type in your question there, and we'll be monitoring the chat session right there as well. Thank you very much for attending. We appreciate your business. Somebody just asked a question. The worksheet for the income expense, it's just a spreadsheet, and it's available to anyone who buys the Stretch IRA software, and we'll just email that to you.